Heading to the US, and President Donald Trump has given state governors advice on opening up America again and promising help from Washington. The reaction to the plans have been mixed, including a call that they're vague and confusing. There has been more than 32,000 deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. Joining me via Skype is Peter Mathews, Professor of Political Science at Cyprus College and author of the book Dollar Democracy. Good morning and welcome. And look, it is confusing, some of it.
Yes, indeed, because the governors are reacting differently in different parts of the country. But most governors want to keep the social distancing and all of the very strict regulations to kill this virus from the public. A few of them are probably going to go along with President Trump. But here's the thing. If we go too precipitously, as the president's actually urging the country to do, we're going to have a second major wave of this terrible pandemic. And it's going to even set the economy back even much further. And don't forget, the U.S. is the #1 country with the most number of deaths. I mean, it's unbelievable the number of deaths that we've had compared to even China. You know, you're looking at 4,000 something deaths in China. You're looking at 35,000 in the United States. And something is not going right here. And I think it has to do with lack of testing, massive testing, which we need here, which Singapore and China and Germany did extensively. They tested early on. They found the people who actually had this were infected, and then they quarantined them or treated them as well. That was the way to do it.
It's a bit like a Las Vegas heavyweight fight, this one, Donald Trump and Mr. Cuomo in New York. The barbs that have flown the last month or so, and it's really hit fever pitch today.
Yeah, it has, and I think that's unfortunate because the president should be looking at the logic and the science, as the governor is doing, and make decisions based on that. I mean, most of the experts throughout the world, and the president's own experts are telling him, do not open up the country precipitously. And he is the federal leader. He's the leader of the whole federal government, the United States of America. He should be taking lead on what needs to be done and coordinating with the governors to get them the equipment that they need, the various masks to get the production ramped up for ventilators. He should be at the forefront of that. He cannot rely on just governors to do it. So other governors having to pick up the ball when he's not carrying it well enough. And that people like Gavin Newsom of California, our own state where I live, has done a good job of that, and it's having results. So it's very, very disconcerting what's going on in Washington at that time.
President Trump's also got out on Twitter today and said that like 3 of the states should be liberated completely.
3 of the states, he said?
Yeah, he's come out this morning.
And said that they should be liberated.
Yes, on Twitter.
Liberated from what? I don't understand what he's trying to imply.
Well, I think what he's saying is that the restrictions should be lifted in Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's come out and just said that on Twitter. This followed what happened with the problem with Cuomo.
Yeah, and what he's saying when he says liberated, he's acting as if they're in chains. We are being liberated by staying home so we can live longer. Liberation doesn't occur when you go out precipitously and infect a whole bunch of other people. And I think the president's wrong on this, and he needs to comply with what the most progressive leading governors are saying and doing, such as Governor Cuomo and Governor Newsom. So I think liberation or liberated is the wrong word to be using in the first place.
How is the education system going where you are, Peter? Here in Australia,
well,
we're getting a message from the federal government, and then we're a lot smaller, obviously, than the US, where you have 50 states, but every individual state is choosing a different course. So a lot of parents are getting confused.
I could imagine that's very confusing over there, but over here, we have, at this point, all of the schools are not in session. They've complied with all of the state's requests to not have children, K through 12, the young children in schools, because some of them may not show the infection, like the youngest children, but they can be carriers, and they are carriers. And so very wisely, we shut the schools down in our state, and a few other states followed as well. And I think that it's very important that all the states in the union should keep the schools closed until the next month or 2, or even the end of the semester. In fact, our school, where my daughter goes in Cyprus, she has been asked to stay home all the way till the semester ends in May, the very same day that my college ends, May 20th. All of us are staying home and working from home and studying from home. She's got through with a Zoom conference with her teachers recently. So that's working out pretty well, and we really need to stick to that plan.
What about going forward? It's an election year. You wouldn't know it. How do you see it all playing out at this point?
It's an unprecedented situation, obviously. And I think that what the Democrats have to think about if they want to be competitive and to win in the fall is they've got to bring aboard the former Bernie Sanders supporters They still are his supporters, but they're not. He's on the ballot, but he's not running. So Biden has to bring them aboard, and to do that, he has to really convince the Sanders supporters that he is 100% for the programs, the key programs that Sanders is for: universal medical care for all, that Medicare for all program, and certainly tuition-free education. Those are key issues and a big investment. I think Sanders had a very comprehensive plan for the coronavirus situation, what needs to be done in the final wave of government spending. It has to go down to the little people, the regular folks. The working people have to get the money. Small business has to get the money. That's another problem right now. The Trump plan is not being implemented very well. Small business having a real hard time cutting through the red tape and getting the funding they need to keep going. The larger businesses are getting the money from the federal government. That's not right. It should be across the board to keep our economy intact. So then when this is over, people can go to work right away again.
No doubt health's going to be very much on the agenda. I'll finish it with that question because I think Barack Obama will no doubt be on that stage quite a bit as well. We've just seen some shots from a few elections ago.
Yes, indeed. He's probably the most powerful campaigner here in the country at this time. Even though he's a former president, he carries a lot of weight, not just with Democrats, but also independent voters. And that's going to help Biden. It cannot help but help him, actually. And so it's a big, significant development that the former president, Barack Obama, has actually endorsed Biden and is campaigning for him. It's very early, too. This is only April. And this is a much earlier endorsement than what Obama gave to Hillary Clinton, which was back in June of 2016. It wasn't until June that he endorsed her. And so it's a remarkable development to see this, come down to the end so quickly. And it has to do with coronavirus, obviously, too.
Professor, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.